Hello, I'm Divine, and this is Silver and Blood. The purpose of this video today is going to be a experienced and inexperienced guide for players about certain mechanics and gameplay stuff that isn't actually well explained or some people seem to misunderstand. And to start getting that stuff out of the way, I want to start with the transfusion system. The transfusion system you're going to unlock on chapter 4, 5. So this information is going to be relevant to you prior to that, and you should just focus on whatever you want until you reach this point. This is when the game changes because you're pretty much in the tutorial. Now, the way this works is pretty self-explanatory. You got 5 units. It's going to take the 5 highest level units on your roster, put them up here, and you're going to be able to inherit the lowest level down here. For example, if all 4 of these are 100, and this guy's 95, indicated by the blood red line as the lowest level, these will all be 95. Pretty simple and easy to understand, right? One of the things that a lot of newer players make the mistake of, though, is leveling up SSR units. Why do you want to avoid leveling up SSR units? Because their level cap at 0 copies, specifically, is 80. And as you can see, you can bypass that with the transfusion system. Okay, how do I surpass 80? In most cases in the early game, you're not going to have copies of SSRs. So what you want to do is you want to focus on leveling up SR units. It doesn't matter who, because in the early game, you're going to be pulling a lot, you're going to get a lot of copies of them, you're going to be able to max them out easily, and they're going to push your wall to 160. All you have to do is choose 5 SR units. Doesn't matter who it is, you can like them, you can dislike them. Their purpose is to be level fodder, because it's going to push your wall past the default 80 up to 160 because you're going to get them maxed out relatively early. And that'll make your life a lot easier as you're progressing through the mid and early game, because you don't have to focus or worry about the level 80 cap on non-leveled SSRs. Now, throughout the time, and as you progress your account, you're going to end up getting more and more copies of SRs, and once you get 2 copies, you can use that to change and alter the SRs, which you can do by clicking this reset button right here. It only costs you 10 moon tiers, and it will reset the level, giving you full refund to change the units to SSRs. And the reason why, as your account progresses, you want to change to SSRs is because 3 copies increases your max level to 200, and that's the max level throughout the entirety of this game. Very important, and as you progress, you're going to get more copies of characters, specifically SSRs, and you're going to be able to change them out, and you're going to be able to make your life easier, and you're going to be able to hit the new wall. But for the early game, focus on the 160 wall, level up 5 SR units, and as you get more, change it. And that's pretty much it for the transfusion system, and it'll make things a lot better for you. Also, make sure you keep the levels relatively even or close. Don't hyper level into one particular character, because if you do that, you're still going to get less combat power. Shimmy them up one by one or level by level. You can level up like 1 to 2 levels difference, but you want to relatively keep them close together because you'll get the most benefits that way on terms of this tree and their overall combat power. Next, what I want to talk about with y'all is the castle. The castle has a lot of stuff to take in, a lot of things to digest, a lot of stuff to understand. But it's actually relatively simple and self-explanatory if you pay attention. For example, the Moonlight Tribute, easy to understand. It's your AFK timer stuff. You can collect it here in the main menu. You don't got to worry about going to the castle to get it. Next is the expeditions. Once again, super simple, easy, quick dispatch, quick claim. You get rewards. It resets daily. Now this is where things get a little bit more interesting. The Hall of Honor. Now when you look at it at a face-by-face value, and most people aren't going to really go out of their way to read it whenever they're explaining it to you or anything, but these actually give you benefits. From unlocking quick claim, getting extra PvP challenges a day, getting extra weekly Starlit Memoir things to attempt, and increased affinity gain. And the way you level this up is by getting Medals of Prestige. How do you get it? You could read this if you want. You get it through achievements. Achievements give you various amounts of medals of prestige from 825, 100, etc., etc. But the more achievements you complete, the more medals of honor you get, the more benefits you get in the castle, the more benefits you get in the Hall of Honor, and overall, just really, really nice quality of life changes. Next, once again, something else that's self-explanatory, the Council Chamber. The Council Chamber, you pick 5 of your favorite vessels, or particularly your team, for example, like I have here. And it's going to give you various different scenarios, like this, for example, regarding raising the taxes to just the financial strain in the latter half of the year. They're going to propose it, and you're basically going to want to get the differing opinions of the characters and see what they think, and you want to choose the option that's going to give you the most benefit towards their affinity, because when you get affinity, it's going to level up your friendship with them. And when you level up the friendship with the characters, not only do you unlock lore in the journal, but you also unlock little stat benefits. Now, of course, the stat benefits are minimal, but they're going to accumulate over time. Like, look at her, for example. They're going to accumulate over time. And it's going to really make your characters a lot stronger. So you could choose 5 like-minded individuals to get the most benefit out of it, or you could choose a mix and match to see who likes what and who doesn't like what. It's ultimately up to you and how you want to approach getting friendship levels. The next thing I want to talk about is the observatory. Now, at face value, it don't look that complicated. All you gotta do is just click upgrade and call it a day. But these provide benefits just like the Hall of Honor. And one of the important ones is stay star 6. You're gonna get 5 bloodline transfusion slots. And the reason why that's important is because in the transfusion tree, you can unlock more slots, but it's going to cost you 500 moon tiers, and that's going to get expensive fast. It costs 3k for a 10 pull. 500 moon tiers is a hefty chunk of that, and not a lot of people are going to want to spend it, so you want to level up the observatory. How do you get the stuff to level up the observatory is not actually complicated. On the story map, there are red X's located in various different places. As you progress the story, you're going to unlock more and more, and all you got to do is click the red X. It's going to give you either lore tidbits, keys for the Starry Wilderness, or the scripts for the stars. And when you do that, all you have to do is just click the upgrade button and call it a day. I only recommend to go to star 6 though for the early game, specifically for the bloodline transfusion slots, and because it gets hella expensive as you progress. Like, look at this, it costs 400k for 1 level, but it does give you 5 more at stage 8. So it's ultimately up to you to choose, pick and choose, figure out how you want to do that, how much you're willing to spend. Just know that gold is important and you want to cherish it. So that's why I recommend for earlier players to stop at stage 6. Next thing I want to talk about is Starry Wilderness. I did mention it earlier, but every week, specifically Monday, you're going to get 3 candles. You use these 3 candles to interact with characters and get some story stuff, lore tidbits, and affinity increase. It resets every Monday, and it's super simple. But one of the things that's not simple is unlocking these points of interest. How you do it? Same as with the star. Just click around on the X's on the map as you progress the story, and you'll get the keys, like I said, and you'll use those keys to unlock these, hence key cabinet. And these are going to provide locations for you to interact with characters in their memoirs as you progress throughout the game. Now, this is still the first week of the game. There's still a lot of content that needs to be developed on terms of here, and a lot of new stuff to understand and experience. But that's pretty much it for that, and it's pretty easy to understand. They can even be in the castle. Last thing I want to talk about in the castle is Awakening. By default, this is actually pretty simple. Easy to understand. All you gotta do is click on them and plug this stuff in and smile, because it's going to give you a little bit of benefits from all of these particular classes. Awakenings all around her. It gives it to everybody, not just a particular class, but this gives it to heavy equipment, medium equipment, light equipment, ancestral units, church units, bloodborne units, the kingdom, and otherworldly, which we currently know nothing about, and remains to be seen. How do you get the resources to upgrade this, you might ask, though? Once again, really simple. Events. Every event's going to have an event shop, and in the event shop itself, it's going to contain the items, the fragments that you use to upgrade this. Now, I'm not going to dictate how you spend your stuff in the event shop, but what I do recommend is you get the fragments for the character units that you use. For example, if you use a lot of medium units, get the medium fragments. If you have a lot of ancestral units, get the ancestral fragments. It's ultimately up to you how you want to pick and choose in terms of spending in the event shop, but I do recommend at least getting the fragments at some point, because while the benefits are minimal, it accumulates a lot over time. Segueing off of that, I want to go to the banners. It's pretty simple. We've all played gachas at some point. I'm pretty sure everybody that's playing this game has touched at least one other gacha. So there's a standard 50-50 banner, and there's rate ups for the limited characters. But one of the things that's not pointed out, and a lot of people don't read about, is this one's a little bit different. In most games, if you lose a 50-50, you're guaranteed the featured banner character. This is done differently. If you lose the 50-50, you're going to be guaranteed, but it's going to be different because it could be either Lamia or a common ancestral vessel. Ancestral vessels are really strong units that provide a lot of benefits to your roster and account, and they have a overall lower drop chance in compared to the rest of the other units. So you could either get the featured banner character, Lamia for example, or you can get ancestral units which just provide a lot of benefits, like Seth for example, Lamine, etc. All of them are really good, and all of them are really, really beneficial to your account. But that's just not something that's not a lot of people are going to know, is you can either get Horror or the Ancestral Vessel. And if you get either of those, that does not count as a 50-50 loss. That counts as a 50-50 win. It's any standard unit that you get that would be a 50-50 loss. Bouncing off of that, I wanted to point out the Embrace bonus. In the early game, you're going to face a lot of choices about who you want to pick as a character, and it's a little bit complicated, and it's a count by count basis depending on what you really have in the early game, but you're going to get 150 pulls relatively quick as you progress. And a lot of the pondering questions is, who the hell do I pick? In most cases, I would tell you to pick Starry-Eyed Iona. She's a healer that provides shield and character reposition and a lot of healing, which is really, really good, especially for the reposition, because there's a lot of circumstances where characters can dive enemies in the backline by being repositioned by Iona, or you could use it to avoid a particular AoE attack that could wipe out your team and deal a lot of damage. But following close second to that, and sometimes I even contemplate myself whether or not I want to say that you should prioritize her because she's really, really good, is Acapella. Acapella is a ranged buff character. Her damage isn't notable. She does healing on the side, but she provides a lot of buffs. Crit damage or crit rate up, magic damage up, physical damage up. Now, of course, the notes are random, but they're still going to provide a lot of benefits to your team, and she heals on the side. The reason why she's so important is because she is a really good meta unit that just pushes your characters to new heights with all those passive benefits that you got. But the other important detail in regards to her is the fact that she is a crescent moon. Why is that important, you're going to ask? Because a lot of the crescent moon characters are sub-DPS assassin characters meant for the backline. And in most cases, you want to focus on full DPS units that are full moon. They require a lot of ults, or a lot of ult charge, and they deal a lot of damage, and the benefits they bring are hefty. A lot of the meta units and a lot of the strong units are full moon for DPS, and the assassins are generally on the weaker side. While good and still usable, like Nicole, Gilray, and Darcius, for example, they're all really useful and still really good, but it's the fact that she's a buffer. So you can bring 2 full moon units instead of having to worry about bringing an assassin, and you could have her, Starry-Eyed Iona, for example, which is 2 healing supports, and she could push your account to new heights on terms of the damage dealers. Which is why I have a hard time in regards to the toss-up of whether or not you should pull for her or Iona. If you have Seth, for example, which is an ancestral unit, you could easily skip her and go for Acapella. I just think it's absolutely essential that every account gets Acapella at some points, because she's just really, really good. Now, if you have both of those units, there's only one other person to take the contender slot, and that would be Van Helsing. Van Helsing is a really strong range DPS character and a very good boss killer. He requires a lot of investment though by default, so in the early game you're not going to really get to see his max potential, but as you go on throughout the game and get more and more copies of him, make him stronger, better gear, you're going to start to see him truly shine on terms of the damage he deals and what he's able to actually do. And the reason why is because he gains crit rate and crit damage based on everything that he's doing, and he's really, really strong on that effect. He'll be able to burst down a lot of enemies, and he's really good for the Time Worn Mausoleum and just about any other content that requires a nice ranged damage unit. His ult is costly though, but that'll be circumvented with Starry-Eyed Iona and Acapella, for example, because of the Blood Soul charge rates. The other thing I wanted to talk about is in the Lost Courtyard. And I'm going to knock 2 birds out with 1 stone. I don't want to glaze over this, but I do want to get it out of the way. A lot of mistakes that people make is in regards to tier 4 and tier 5 gear. You're going to get tier 4 against Zagon, which is the first boss that you have unlocked in this particular mode for Exorcism. Don't level up tier 5 gear or tier 4. Why? The stat bonus and benefits are very minimal. Minimal to the degree that you'll only notice it once you put a lot of investment in. But it's very costly. 100k Soulless for 40 extra attack and 170 extra HP. And all of this wiped out of the way. As you can see, very costly. Benefits are minimal. If you're going to start leveling up this particular gear, you're going to want to start at tier 6 onward. Tier 4 and 5, just generally not worth it. And like I said, it gets very, very, very expensive. One of the other things I want to point out on min-maxing accounts is the Dutchman's Revenge. The reason why is this contains the artifact system. And the artifacts are really nice and provide various different passive skills that will increase the potential for your characters alongside a little bit of stat bonuses. How do you get these? Just by doing the Dutchman's Revenge. These are puzzles, super simple, super easy to understand and grasp, easy to get done, and you'll unlock these artifacts and upgrades for the artifacts as you continue on. And all you need to do is go to the vessels list, click here, go down to the bottom camera, and then you can replace or remove them respectively for whatever character you're trying to use, and they're going to make you stronger. And one other thing I wanted to point out was, as you progress, you can level them up to unlock more slots through artifact enhancement, which allows you to use them on more characters. Now you get these upgrades here throughout this, but also in the clan shop. This is all you can buy in the clan shop, and you'll be able to get more of these shards as the clan hunt system unlocks, which you'll be able to do daily, and you'll be able to run with your guild, and you'll be able to get these blueprints, which allow you to upgrade and make the artifacts stronger. And that's it for the artifact system. The Time Worn Mausoleum, pretty self-explanatory. They give you a tutorial for it. Everything they give you a tutorial for, pretty easy to grasp and understand. But one of the things that's not easy to grasp and understand is skill priority. There's a lot of skills in this game. There's a lot of stuff to take in. And for newer players, you get a skill reset button. You get a couple of these, and they're going to last for a limited amount of time. But you can use that to mix and match and get and test how you feel about certain characters. But in most cases, you want to focus on leveling up your DPS's skills because you want to min-max the damage that they're capable of doing. But in particular cases, and this is going back to one character, Acapella, that priority kind of changes because her ult is immensely powerful. Upgrading her ult increases the blood soul recovery rate for all of your allies, which is your ult charge. It increases the rate at which you charge your ult, and during the Blood Moon phase, it's going to allow you to cycle ults very, very fast as a result. So if you had to prioritize anything, it would be beneficial ults like this, and then the rest all in on your DPSs. A lot of people might get confused and might accidentally waste them away and such like that on the wrong particular kind of character. You can avoid supports and tanks unless you need more sustain, of course, but you generally want to focus on your DPS and high priority ults like Acapellas. Now this is the last thing I want to touch on before ending this video, and it's something that I think some people know, but not everyone knows. And it's regarding ults in stages. Some people might sit there and be resetting like, damn, I got all 3 full moon ults at the same time. That's really bad. I'm not going to be able to get Blood Moon quick enough. So they reset the stage in hopes of being able to get a hand that benefits them the most. Well, you can circumvent all that and do something else. See this arrow on the right here? Click it. You'll see this 3-card deck at the bottom. Click that, and you can choose your initial starting hand to reach Blood Moon faster. Very, very important detail and a big quality of life change that I'm glad that they have, but not fucking told to anybody. Nobody gets told this, so you gotta look around for it. Very, very important for people, and I hope that that benefits everyone to a degree. That's all I really wanted to go over for this video today. That's all the stuff I wanted to discuss. There's probably more stuff to understand throughout the end game, and the events are really, really nice, but most of it's pretty easy to understand past that point. I hope every single one of you have an excellent day and night. The story for this game is good, it's amazing, and I have a lot of passion for it. Until the next time, farewell.